Hey, my name is Paul Gutrecht. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist in Los Angeles, California. And I've been giving talks on emotion regulation and anger management about once a month so far in 2024, and have some dates scheduled in April and May, but I don't really have anything. They're all limited in who can attend different communities and so forth. So I wanted to add in live streaming so that anybody could wanted to hear about this kind of work could have a chance to do that. Okay, so this is just a brief introductory talk, and then we'll see where we go from there. Okay, all right. So anger is an emotion. So the good news is it's not about never having anger again, because we're all going to have anger. What it's about is managing angry behavior, but that never really caught on. So people call it anger management when it really should be called behavior management. Okay, angry behavior management. So I've been running anger management groups for over 10 years, and I found myself coming back to the 5 same things over and over again. Okay. First, you got to figure out what triggers you. Okay. Usually this relates to beliefs or values that you may have about how you want to be treated, about how other people should be treated. But what I'm getting at is that it's cognitive. Okay, it's in our minds, it's ideas. It can be related to memories. We can have bad memories that we're thinking of that get us upset. It can be related to expectations. Okay, so I might have an expectation about how something's going to go, and when it goes differently, it starts to get upsetting. Okay, so we have to figure out all the things that trigger us so that we can raise our awareness of that. All right. Next, identifying our yellow flags. And what I mean by that is warning signs that I'm starting to get upset. Okay. And those can be physical. I can feel it in my body. I can feel tension rising, or it could be emotional. I'm going from annoyance to frustration and getting to anger. But it could also be a cognitive yellow flag. So that could be something like, oh, here we go again, thought like that. Or if they say this one more time, I'm going to let them have it. Right. Those are yellow flags. Those are warnings that we're going in the wrong direction. Okay. So what we want to do with the warnings is use those yellow flags to take a break, to ask for a break. And there's a number of different researchers all through kind of social psychology and psychology who advise when you're going to take a break, you need to tell the person how long you need. And that is so that they don't feel ignored or dismissed or even feel abandoned. Okay. That way, when you say, I got to pause right now, and you try to leave the room, they don't come after you and say, no, we're finishing this right now, or something like that. Okay. So it's important to ask for a break and also say how long you need. Give me 15 minutes. Let's take an hour. I'm going to go work out and come back. It could just be a brief break, right? But you need to lower kind of the energy in the room. So you're going to want to, when you're on that break, you're going to want to discharge some of the energy. Okay. So again, it doesn't have to be a full workout. Maybe it's, and this is research based from dialectical behavior therapy created by Marsha Linehan. It could be 10 seconds of push-ups. It could be jumping jacks, right? Jumping up and down in a room, like somewhere you can do that away from the other person. Okay. Something to discharge some of the energy. Okay. And circumstances will determine what you can and cannot do. Right. Okay. All right. So asking for a break can be hard, okay? And one of the things we want to do is build skills in how we're communicating with other people. And you will be amazed at how mental health is tied to communication, right? And what our ideas are, what our expectations are. And if we can just raise our awareness around that, I promise you it's going to change things, right? It's not going to solve everything. It's not going to get everybody exactly what they want, but it really raises the chances of getting more of what you want out of a relationship, out of a situation, if it's personal or even a work situation, okay? So we're going to be talking a fair amount about communication in just a little bit, okay? All right. And then finally, the last of these 5 things. So far it's been triggers, identifying yellow flags, asking for a break, and then dealing with some of the angry energy, building on how we're communicating, which is a big one. And then the last one of the 5 is adding in more structure. Okay. I'm going to give you an example. I had a client and she said to me once, after a long day of work and a couple glasses of wine at dinner, it's the wrong time to talk about money. We're not going to talk about money on a Tuesday night. Okay. We're going to set a time and figure out when to do it. That's all I mean by structure. Okay. Taking a break, setting up amount of time before you come back and how much time you need. That's all structure. Okay. So all these different things, that word is going to come back over and over again in terms of different ways that are going to help you manage your energies. Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm going to come back to communication, right? And what I'm going to share now is from a book called Messages. And it's by 3 authors. If you just remember the first author's name, you're going to find it. First of all, it's easy. Messages is the name of it. And it's by McKay. Matthew McKay, Martha Davis, and Patrick Fanning are all the authors, but just with McKay, you're going to find it. And in this book, the authors talk about these 4 main flows of information when you're communicating. Okay. And those are facts, opinions and beliefs, feelings, and wants and needs. Let me back up. The opinions and beliefs, it's really thoughts, any thoughts at all. Okay. It can be criticism, it can be praise, it can be insults, it can be flattery, anything debatable. Okay. There's always going to be more than one point of view. Okay. And in there are expectations as well as memories. All of those things, okay, are in that category of thought. Okay. So a whole expression has all 4 of these elements in the expression. Okay. These are for more important conversations. When you go to the coffee shop, you know, they're not really interested in how you feel. You can just tell them what you want. You go to the mechanic, they definitely don't care about how you feel. They just want to know what you need, what's wrong with the car. Okay. So those are partial expressions and they're just fine. But when you're having more important communications, especially when things are getting heated up, this is when you want to have all 4 of these things. But we usually get stuck on criticism or points of view. And we don't talk about how we're feeling and we don't talk about what we want and what we need. Okay. So we got to include all of these things. So that's a whole expression. And I'll give you an example in a minute. But before that, I want to tell you about contaminated expressions. Okay. This is also in the book Messages, right? A contaminated expression has all 4 of these things, but they're kind of lumped on top of each other, right? So even just saying, shut up, that is a contaminated expression because it includes all 4. What you just said, fact, I didn't like it, opinion, I makes me upset, emotion, and I want it to stop, okay? But we said it in a way where I'm escalating my language, I'm raising my voice, and I'm trying to control the other person, right? So that kind of stuff is going to escalate because the other person's going to feel that and they're going to resist or react or defend themselves, right? But if I can sit there and say, look, this conversation is kind of going in a direction where it's gone before, that's a thought, right? This conversation is the fact. So I'm starting to get a little heated up and I need to take a break. That's an example of how you do that, okay? Now, it sounds like a lot of language, and it is. It's kind of slowing down the whole interaction, and that's a good thing, okay? Yeah, there'll be times when you don't have time to slow down and so forth, but one thing at a time. Like in an important conversation where you want to stay with the goal of whatever it is, maybe talking about finances or talking about responsibilities around the house or whatnot, okay? Or planning an event or anything, you want to include all of these things. They're going to be really helpful, okay? What you're doing is you're adding, this is the quote from the book Messages, you're adding more context so the other person can build more understanding. If the other person understands what you need, that gives them an opportunity to fulfill a need, okay? And people like doing that. We all like being of service to another person, okay? When we can, okay? All right. So this is just a really brief preview. I encourage everybody to go out and get this book. By the way, you only need to read the first 55 pages to get the basics and to go through some exercises where you get to decode some of these contaminated expressions like the one I mentioned before. So what I want to end with 2 things. One is this is all about raising awareness of how we are in the moment. Because when we blow up, I've had so many people say to me, I didn't know what happened. I just blew up. I went from 0 to 1,000. Okay. But the idea is that something's going on before we get to that moment. And if we can figure it out, then we can de-escalate from that earlier moment and we won't get to the blow up. We won't get to the angry reaction. All right. So one of the ways you do that is by giving yourself through the day little check-ins. I call them moments of transition, right? Like when you finish watching this, take a moment, think about what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it, then think about whatever's coming next, right? And just know that in addition to whatever you think might be coming next are unexpected things, unconscious expectations. Like I might not even realize that I have an expectation about what's coming next. Okay. You can use this when you wake up. You can use it when you're going to work, or if you're working at home, when you finish work and you get up, all right, I'm taking a break. Work is here. I'm going into the living room where my partner is, and we're going to have a conversation. They don't know what's going on with me at work. And when I walk through that door, I don't know what's going on with them either, right? So it's just ways of building a little space in the interactions so I don't jump to what I think is going on, okay? All right. So thanks for listening. I'm going to try to keep doing this about once a month. I'm going to go into more details. Happy to answer any questions. And if anybody is interested in counseling, I encourage you to look around whatever city you're in for low fee counseling. In Los Angeles, there's some great organizations like Maple Counseling Center, Southern California Counseling Center, Airport Marina Counseling Center. And they're low fee because they are training therapists who are then supervised by licensed, experienced therapists. And those are the folks that are able to provide the low fee counseling. Okay. I supervise some clinicians in training through the Maple Counseling Center, and it's a nonprofit. And I'm also on their board. Okay. This is all like free advertising. There's no financial gain of any kind at all, or even promoting that book Messages. I love it. I have no connection to that book whatsoever. It's just a great book. And speaking of books, last thing, there's tons of material already out there. Search around for a book or two. Most likely it's going to be on audio as well. So you can take some time and you can find material that can help you now. Okay? All right. Thanks for listening and watching, and we'll do another one hopefully soon. Okay.